Park niggas know me. Curtbone, little homie. All days, yeah. Been a road.
So, Chick, when did you know you was gonna be a professional comedian?
Like I said, when I graduated, I went to get that job, and they told me what I was gonna be making, and I was like, man, I gotta do something else. But I didn't know what it was gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And then my man Jerome, who I went to school with, was like, man, you should do comedy. You should do comedy. Because I was hosting all the little events in my college, you know, all my fraternity events I was hosting and banquets and all that stuff. But, you know, I was just like, I was used to that. I was always publicly speaking. That was my major. I did the news and all the stuff on campus, Ram News. I was a sports anchor and shot my own stories. But it was just, I was used to being in front of the camera and, you know, just being in front of people talking. But he was like, nah, you should do comedy. You should do comedy. And he was kind of planting that seed in my mind, but I had never even been to a comedy show before, let alone told no jokes. Right. So I came home, and I had never been to my father's gravesite before I graduated college. Not because I, was, told not to go or nothing like that. It's just I never went. But something told me, man, just go out there. So he buried at Harmony Cemetery. So I went out Harmony, and I told my mother. Me and my mother never talked about my father. Like, she never had no conversations with me about him. She would tell me how he was, but she never told me who he was. She would just use comparison. Oh, you act like your daddy, you lie like your daddy, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I never had any, inclination. So I just told her one day, I'm going to see my dad at, gravesite. She was like, okay. So I went down there, and I went in. The lady gave me information. She gave me a piece of paper, and she said, well, I got to take you, because he died in 89, I believe. So she took me over to where, the part of the graveyard that he was buried at. And, when went over there, she looked around, and it was grass, and she said, yes, he in this area somewhere. And I was like, damn. And I had a little flower jump. My first thought was like, I hope I put these on the right nigga. That's crazy. But the reality of it for me was like, damn, whatever Slim did into his life up until that point hadn't gone enough for him to be able to get a headstone, nor the people around him was able to do it, or, cared enough to do it, whatever the situation was. Nobody could afford to do that for him. So at that point, I realized it kind of motivated me more. Like, man, I can't be a patch of grass, man. I got to do more. I can't go out like this. Not to say that, whose intention was it to go out like that, but I'm sure that wasn't his intention. But, I'm a walking legacy of this man, wherever he at, you know what I'm saying, in regards to his physical remains. I got to be more than this. So I go home with the paper they give me from the cemetery, and I give it to my mother, and she immediately started crying. Now, mind you, this ain't my mother was a soldier. So I mean, like, it scared me to even see her react like that. I hadn't seen her cry like that since my uncle died. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she was like, he didn't die on this day. They got his information wrong. And at that point, I was like, okay, even though he didn't have nothing to be remembered by at that point, like, what he was to her still affect this woman who I've known my whole life to be, I'm talking about just steadfast soldiers, just strong, still break her down like it just happened yesterday. So that means that power that he had over her is what I'm walking around with. So I got to do something. So this was on my mind the whole ride back down North Carolina. And I get back down there, me and my man Jerome talking. He was like, man, what you thinking? I'm like, man, I'm going to go ahead and try comedy. You know what I mean? Since, fuck it, why not? Give it a shot. It was an open mic night at the Greensboro Comedy Zone, about 30 minutes away from Winston, where I went to school, where I got my start in comedy. I would be first and second Thursday of the month, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go this Thursday and just look. I went the first Thursday and watched everybody bomb. I'm talking about niggas was horrible. I was like, well, I can at least do this bad. You know what I'm saying? So I went back the next Thursday. It was 4 minutes. I got on stage and did 4 minutes. I mean, the first joke I ever told was about Obama. This was it was 08, right when Obama was running for president, and my first joke was about what I wanted the inauguration to look like if a black man got elected president. Right. So I did my 4 minutes. When I did my 4 minutes, I got off stage, and I swear to God, OG, like when my feet hit the pavement, I was like, this it? This what I'm supposed to be doing. And I've been doing it ever since that day.
Damn, man, you know it.
Yeah.
Man, you had a lot of spiritual moments, man, through your journey,
Yeah.
right? So, do you have a nomination that you practice, or you just
Nah. I don't really believe in religion.
Right,
I believe in God.
Right, you believe in God, right?
To me, religion is, if God is the major corporation, religion is a temp agency. I don't know if you're familiar with how temp agencies work,
No, I'm
but
familiar with
you know what I mean. When you go, you know how you go to a temp agency and they tell you, well, we got the most hires at the major 500 company, and then another one gonna tell you, well, we got the highest wages, and then another one gonna tell you, well, we get the best benefits and we got the longest lasting employees. Well, to me, if I'm this great of a candidate, why do I got to go through you? Why can't I take my application directly to the center? And I don't knock nobody who is religious. I respect it because, I respect what it does for order and what it does for people. And, but at the end of the day, I believe that, your relationship with God at the end of the day is yours. So, I don't think you need to join a team to have one.
Yeah, we got similar beliefs in it. That's crazy, but that's another whole topic right there.
That just means I got to come back a couple times.
So I got to get you right here,
all
man.
the way.
Yeah. So when you was on your comedian run, on your push to try to get there, what hurdles you went through? I know that was a good night that night right there. Did you ever come into some hurdles where those, man, I like it, but
What?
the lights got to stay on?
Man, Slim. Now, I had a job when I was doing comedy. I was a qualified professional. I don't know if you know what that is.
Nah.
That's people who work with mentally ill people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? People with substance abuse issues and all that. I did all that because I had a sociology minor when I was in school. So that's what I was doing to pay my bills. And it wasn't a lot of money, but it was just enough for me, like you said, to keep the lights on and to make sure that I had a roof over my head. But like the journey of becoming a comic, man, like Slim, I mean, it was rough. I was driving 4-5 hours to go do shows for handshakes and a Heineken. I mean, like no money, sleeping in my whip to get up to drive right back to go to work in the morning. So it was, it was a journey, and I tell people all the time, like even after getting on Wild 'N Out, I got on Wild 'N Out in 2013 when they first brought it back, the reincarnation of the show. But I didn't start making money to where I can say I was making good money till at least 2017, 2018. So even after getting on television, it still took me 3-4 years before I saw to where I was able to get ahead. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people don't understand. They see you wherever you at, and they don't know them days when I was riding around with the Saturn View with 300,000 miles on it, with all the lights glowing on the dashboard. You could have landed a plane with my shit, how orange my dashboard was. So, I definitely went through those hurdles, man, but it made me appreciate getting to this point. You know what I mean?
Right. And when you was going through all that, man, that's funny, man. But the dashboard was lit up like that, huh?
Oh my God, I'm talking about shit you ain't even know had a light, nigga. It was like, nigga, my steering wheel fucked up. I'm telling you, it was crazy.
Right, yeah. What's the name? When you was on that pushing that journey, man, is there anybody you can think of that was right there, like pushing you and supporting you and right there with you? Was there anybody you can think of?
My mother was my biggest supporter, man. Like, she took my daughter, man. I got a daughter that's 13 now. She took my daughter for 2 years so I can stay, because she believed in me when nobody else did. I can't tell you how many people called me crazy for going to school for 5 years to be a comic. Like, nigga, you could have did that without the loans, you know what I'm saying? But she was the one that was like, whatever you need to do, I believe in you, baby. Send my grandbaby up here. I'm going to take her so you can not have to worry about, where she at and her being safe. And she did that, and what I mean, she got to see me make it, man. She got to see me make it happen, and that was my biggest supporter all the way.
Yeah, and that's weird that you say, people say you 5 years and to be a comic, but I was in a short story. I'm in Ben's Chili Boy. I used to go there a lot, which we all did. And I'm talking to Mr. Ben's, and we used to talk a lot. I used to be, trying to ear hustle, get any little knowledge I can get. And we was talking one day. He was just like, yeah, them stupid MFs in there doing all, working out here and, come work right there. So I said, what you talking about? He pointing at his kids, right? All them, well educated and all that. He said, yeah, I told him years ago. He said, I spent thousands of dollars on education. And I told him, you don't got to go to college. You can come work at my hamburger store. You know what I'm saying? He said, now look where they working at now. Even though they still was well-off people, but you made me think about that when people said,
everybody was like, man, you tripping.
Right.
Like, I couldn't get people. It was, you get to perform for free if you get 5 people to come see you. And I was having to pay $25 every time. I couldn't get 5 people to come see me. But we just did the show in Greensboro with the 85 South show, sold 12,700 tickets, right? And I couldn't motherfucker like, man, you know I fuck with you. Since when, nigga? Like, you don't come on me, you acting like you don't fuck with me no more. Like, nigga, I couldn't get you to come see me when it was $5. Now you want me to give you a ticket that's worth $150 for free. But that's how it goes. So that's what I tell people all the time. Work till you get to that point. Because everybody want to be a part of a success story. You just got to create the success story that they want to be a part of. That's just what it is.
That's a jewel right there, man.
You know what I mean?
Can you repeat that one more time for the people?
Everybody want to be a part of a success story. So your job is to create the success story that they want to be a part of.
Yeah, that's a jewel right there, man. Look, I hear you talk about your mother. I see what she means to you, but who else inspired Chico?
Oh man, my favorite comedian is Earthquake. You know,
homie.
Yeah, from the city, man. And cool story about Quake. How I met Quake. I was open mic hosting at the Comedy Zone because I kind of ascended kind of quickly within the ranks of that club. So I went from an open micer to, you know, being
you get a humble joint. I kind of extended real quickly.
Yeah.
You fucked that joint up, man.
Yeah, in the ranks of that club.
You fucked that joint up. All right.
So, you know, I was good at it when I first got started. So the owner of the club, Paul, recognized that, and the dude who was the man at that time, Chris Wiles, was like, man, you know, I'm great. He was great going on the road, and they was looking for somebody to MC on Friday and Saturday shows. So Paul gave me an opportunity to be the MC, the weekend MC. So I was doing that, and it was a dude named Tom Smith, who was a comedian who was headlining. And when we was in between shows, because it was 2 shows every night, we in between shows standing out back talking. He was like, man, you really good, man. You ain't even been doing this a whole year yet. Who are some of your influences? I was like, man, Earthquake, my favorite comedian. And got to telling him why. So I go back on stage to start the second show. I bring the feature up. I come back off stage. He hand me the phone and say, walk and talk. So I'm like, hello? He was like, what's up, Slim? I'm like, who is this? He said, it's Quake. I said, Quake who? He said, Earthquake, nigga. I'm like, word? So I'm geeked up because I'm talking to him. I talked to him probably about 10 minutes. He said, look, man, when I come in town, I'm going to fuck with you. I'm going to holler at you. And, you know, I'm thinking like, all right, whatever. I'm just glad to have a conversation because I didn't talk to my, you know, somebody who I was
DC
influenced by.
kicking these niggas faking.
Yeah, man. But I ain't even holding you to that.
Exactly.
But when he came in town, he really hollered at me. Let me come to a show at the Coliseum. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm not even the homeboy. I'm just a nigga in the room for real. And, you know, I was just, you know, enamored with being able to meet him and just being able to be in his presence. And I met, you know, well, I didn't really meet him, but they was there. You know, I'm talking about like D-Ray was at the show, some more, Bruce, Ricky Smiley, all these dudes at the show, and they all came in the dressing room throughout time. And I just was kind of standing there like, oh shit, you know what I mean? You know, because these is the people that are stars at this time, and I'm just, you know, nigga hosting an open mic, and I'm, you know, and ain't nobody really say nothing to me, you know what I mean? Of course, because they didn't need to. Or who the fuck am I to just? I'm just a nigga in the dressing room. But when I was great leave, Quake said, hey man, he gave me a piece of advice that really motivated me and pushed me to become what I am, because he said, hey man, I don't know if you felt no type of way about nobody, you know, speaking to you when you was in here, but don't worry about that. If you do what you're supposed to do, everybody you see tonight, you'll see them again. And that's exactly what happened. You know, now everybody that was in that room are people that are peers of mine now. You know what I'm saying? They know. And a lot of them don't even remember. I tease D-Ray about it all the time because that's my nigga too. Like him, D-Ray, Corey Holcomb, Lord Duval, all these dudes are dudes that embraced me when I first came in the game. And a lot of dudes be suckers, man. It just is what it is. But the thing about me is I ain't looking to be your friend. I ain't looking to be around you. I'm real self-contained. But the people who have showed me love, all of them I was influenced by. And I tease D-Ray about it all the time. I'm like, you don't even remember you carried the shit out of me. He was like, man, whatever. But he explained it to me like, and made me understand points of the game that most people won't give you. You know what I'm saying? So Quake was big influence, man. Of course, you know, Martin, who I just got to meet.
And that's my next question. I want you to give me your top 5 DMV comedians of all time.
Man,
it don't got to be order, but
Quake, I ain't in no particular order. Quake, Martin, Tony Woods, RoboCop. I don't know if you remember Robo.
RoboCop, bad boy. Won the Apollo about 50 times.
Yeah, and damn, Chappelle.
Yeah, that's a hell of a list.
Yeah.
Robo, Quake, Chappelle,
Tony Wood,
and
and Martin.
Damn.
Yeah.
We got a hell of a, because there's still some names off that joint.
Yeah.
We got a hell of a
Man,
people.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, all the way.
Damn, okay, that's strong. So let me ask you this. So who was the dude, man, you grew up with, where he was in school or around the neighborhood, don't matter what, you couldn't outjoin this motherfucker. You couldn't get him. He's always got you, man. Who was the dude, man? Who was it? Got to be somebody, man.
Man, my cousin, my cousin Nate, man, that's my man. He told me the greatest joke ever told to me to this day. Nobody topped this joke. My mother, before I started buying my own clothes, my mother was buying me size 13 shoes. I don't know where the fuck she was getting these big ass shoes from, Slim. And that's what let me know I was special, because I was still cool with the big ass shoes on. Because I knew how to unite. Right. That first day of school when I was walking with them Jones, right. I was like, man, I was just ready to, I knew niggas was going to get on me, but right. I held my own, and niggas knew, don't leave Slim alone. But my cousin, man, because we was going back and forth, Joe, to this shit, man. That nigga called me Bobby's World, because I had the big feet and the big head. That's the number one joke ever told. But still to this day, man, me and him be going back and forth and the shit. He say to me, just be legendary. We did a joint I'll show you the picture just so you can get the reference. Oh, right. This shit was funny as a motherfucker, right. Man. I gotta give it to him. Hold up. We did a thing with the Atlanta Hawks, right? Where they selling the 85 South merchandise at the Atlanta Hawks Stadium. So this the outfit I had on, right? That nigga hit me and said I was dressed like Fat Cat Nichols. You see, so it's definitely my cousin, man. I gotta give him that, man. That's the one dude, but I always know that whenever we get into it, he gonna say something to me that. And now, honestly, my daughter, man, daughter a beast. I don't know, she get it natural, but like the way she be cooking me, Slim, is next level, man.
Would you take the gloves off with her when you go back?
Oh yeah, all the way. But she raw, like it's unreal how raw she is, man. And then it just be out of nowhere. We'll be chilling, kicking it. Like we chilling one day, we in the car. She said, "Daddy, you know what's a good thing?" I said, "What, babe?" She said, "You ain't never got to worry about losing your mind. Your head too big for you to ever lose your mind." I'm like, man, hey, man, what's wrong with you? But that's just what we do. Like, she naturally got it. Like, you know what I mean? We put up the flyer for the 85 South show. It got, like, Asian lettering on it. She was like, "Nigga, what you grade, tour in China?" Like, that's just the way she is. So I would say, Mike, it's been family, you know? And that's the thing about me, like, I grew up getting talked about. That was my household. Like, you know what I mean? My uncles and my mother, everybody. That's what we did. We just talk shit about each other. So the sensitivity that you see now amongst people, I can't understand that, because, that's just what we grew up doing. We grew up talking, joning on each other, going on each other. That's just what it was. It wasn't nothing malicious, but just a game, you know what I'm saying? But now it's totally different. Now everybody's so sensitive, and you got to watch what you say not to offend people. It's a different time, man.
But it was always a dude in the hood, though. You can joan, but you can't say nothing about his mother.
Yeah, you don't say nothing.
It was always one of them dudes.
Yeah,
right
all
there.
the way. Yeah, nigga get mad. Yeah, see, that's the thing I tell people all the time, too. With me, like, I already done embraced all the shit you can say about me, but I guarantee you, it's some shit on you. You ain't never heard a nigga say that I would say about you. So, you know what I mean? But it's just different now, because back in the day, and I come up from in an era where that's all you had to do. You don't come outside if you ain't, if you can't take it, because niggas ain't gonna stop. I'm talking about whatever's the shit you don't want to be talked about. They gonna go on you.
Jump joint.
Yeah, all the way. Yeah, jump joint. Nigga pull up, get out the car. Oh, y'all find that nigga up. Hey man, hold up, real quick. Hey, you buy my ass, nigga. That's what it was, but I love that, because and especially being on a show like Wild 'N Out, like that is what made me so great at the show and natural at the show. Is like this was every day for me. So you know what I mean. It was easy to adjust.
And that's a good segue, because my next question is, how did you meet Nick Cannon?
I met Nick in 2000, and like 2 years before Wild 'N Out came back. So it was like 2010 going into 2011. My homegirl Dolly, who I, say is one of my, angels on earth, just from the relationship that we have and how she's been, helped me throughout my career, and just being somebody, and vice versa. But she was Nick's assistant at the time, and he was doing a show called Fresh Faces of Comedy. And she was like, I got some homeboys that she went to school with, because we started a comedy group in North Carolina, me and four of my partners at the time. And we was, making some headway in our area. And she was like, we're going to get me and my boy B-Dot to come up and do the show. So that went first, and then I went second. when I went second, my show was at Gotham Comedy Club, which is a major comedy club in New York, one of the mainstays in the game. And I went in, and the dude who run the club was like, "Hey man, you on the show tonight? I don't know who you are. You can't curse. You can't say the N-word. You can't talk about this. We're gonna see if you're really funny." Now at that time, that's all I was talking about. That's what I thought I needed to do to be funny. So my creative process is a little different. I don't really write jokes. I just walk around, talk to myself, and get my shit together in my mind. That's how it go for me. So as I'm outside the front of the club in New York doing that, Nick pull in and walk in the club. Now I see him, and I don't know if he see me, but I get on stage, and my whole set is based around what just happened, like that day. I had to catch the bus from the airport to the club. And I just talked about, this was when the Occupy Wall Street was going on. And I made jokes about that. And when I got off stage, Nick was like, "Hey, man, was you just outside making all that up just now?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Man, I'm around some of the best in the game. They can't do what you just did. Keep working." And then fast forward to the audition for Wildin' Out. He had an audition in Charlotte, North Carolina. When I walked in, he was like, "I remember you. You the dude that talked to yourself." And so that was my, it was then the rest is history for real. You know what I mean? All the way.
Out the park, niggas know me. Curtbone, little homie. All days, yeah. Been a road,